In the blackness of midnight, when the boundaries between dreams and reality had blurred, my younger brother's scream pierced my sleep like a knife. "Mom, Dad will kill us. Get out now." His voice lacked the innocence of childhood, only fear, the kind of fear that runs like electricity down my spine. I jumped out of bed, but something was wrong in the air. The acrid, disgusting smell of burning flesh gripped my throat, as if an invisible hand were choking me. The room was filled with black waves of smoke. The walls were breathing, and every breath hid flames. "Fire! Get out now!" I screamed, my voice cracking, but something else was also shattering inside me, the belief that home was safe. I ran for the bedroom door, barefoot, my heart pounding in my ears. I placed my hand on the handle, hot, sticky, unwilling to budge, as if even the door had become our enemy. My brother's face was before me, white, eyes wide, lips trembling. The child who had slept in his mother's arms until yesterday was now facing death. And me? I was the big sister who'd promised, "I'll save you," but now my hands were empty, only smoke and fear. The handle wouldn't budge. I grabbed my shoulder, pushed hard, nothing. The roar of the fire now came from behind the walls, like a monster awakening. The desire to be a mother, the urge to protect me, all was dissolving into smoke. But I wouldn't give up. Not today. It felt as if something held it back. Despair gripped me as I felt we had lost our only way out, and that this might be our end. Just then, my 10-year-old son yelled, "There's no time to think." His quick reaction saved us, and we began to flee. Later, we tried to take revenge on my husband. I, Balit, am 38 years old. I graduated from university and used to work at an advertising agency. I married my former coworker, Darren, 15 years ago, and we have a son. Darren loves motorcycles and spends his free time caring for them. Our son, Roger, is very interested in solving TV mysteries. He often guesses suspects and motives with astonishing accuracy because he's almost always right when the culprit is caught. When Roger was little, Darren loved him very much, but over time, he stopped talking to him, dismissing his comments as mere childish assumptions. One day, while Darren was taking a shower, Roger came into the study, sniffed a hanging suit, and asked, "Mom, did Dad change jobs recently?" "No, he's been a salesman at the same agency for a long time," I replied. Roger explained. "When Dad came home today, he said he was busy working and had been out in the sun all day, but his suit doesn't smell of sweat at all. I think he applied deodorant. He'll be angry if you go into the studio, so you better leave now." Roger persisted, though he still wasn't convinced. But hearing the bathroom door open, he had no choice but to leave the study. Returning to the living room with his notebook, Roger asked my husband, "My teacher gave us a project on our parents' work. What's the name of your company, and what do you do?" My husband replied, "I work in sales at Scannet Berta Ment Agency." He offered more details than usual, which was strange considering Roger's usual indifference to me. Later, during dinner, my husband suddenly lost his appetite and fell asleep without eating. "Dad's tired, at least let him eat," I said, trying to play it down. "I already told you what my work is."
"Oh no."
"I'm sorry, but something's bothering me," Roger said. "Did you see how he was touching his neck while talking to me? That's common behavior among defendants in court when someone gets too close to the truth." It also bothered me that he was looking at me with glassy eyes. You know, when someone lies, they don't always look away. Sometimes the opposite happens. For the first time, I found my son's logic convincing. Until a few months ago, my husband was the type who would leave his briefcase with me as soon as he got home and quickly take a shower because he was sweating. But without my knowledge, he started taking care of his things himself, keeping his suits and trousers in his study. He would only give them to me when they needed washing. Maybe he was hiding something from me. Anxious, I waited for my husband to fall asleep and then started searching his trouser pockets. My heart pounded when I found a receipt for a sumptuous 30,000 lempiras at an expensive restaurant, not far from where we'd gone. Startled, I felt a presence behind me and turned to see my husband standing there with a glass of water in his hand. "What are you doing in my study?" he asked. "I thought it was time to take your pants to the dry cleaner," I stammered, and the receipt fell from my hand. He picked up the receipt, a look of fear on his face. I didn't ask for this. You're snooping around like a thief in the middle of the night. You're joking. Don't be angry. Just because I saw a receipt in your pocket, I pleaded. I can't stand someone who interferes.
Get out of here right now.
He interrupted me angrily. He slammed the mug on the table, startling our son, and running to ask what was wrong. Roger tried to intervene, but my husband's anger didn't subside. As the tension escalated, my husband's briefcase tipped over. A prepaid cell phone and a card holder, which I didn't know about, fell to the floor. If you already have a smartphone, I asked in surprise, why do you need a prepaid cell phone? He replied curtly, I use it for work. But you're not going to work, are you? I insisted. He was growing suspicious. And this isn't the right business card. I blurted out, panicked. Stop it. Don't touch my things, he yelled, even angrier. Then he forced Roger and me out of the studio, leaving us dazed and confused. My son started fiddling with my husband's phone, which was charging in the living room. The air in the room was heavy, the memory of smoke, the smell of broken trust. I whispered, grabbing his wrist, fingers trembling, don't mess with it anymore. Just a little more. Roger stared at the phone screen, his voice a blanket of ice. It'll be over soon. I left my husband in the studio, his back against the wall, his eyes blank. I took my son's hand and headed into the room. The door closed, but questions remained open. The other phone, that dark secret, was circling my mind, like a thief searching for a key. There was no answer, only silence. I decided to keep a close eye on him and talk to him when the time came. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my husband packing his suitcase. Worried, I asked him if he was leaving because of our fight. His answer surprised me. I just got a call from the company. I have to go on a business trip to New York, he said. They've opened a new branch there. I've also quit my job. And yes, I need some kerosene. I'll use it to service my motorcycle this summer. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon, so have it ready before the end of the day. I was relieved to hear his calm voice. It contrasted with the tension of the previous day, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was different about him. Something wasn't right. After firing Darren, I ordered Oceano cheese at the gas station, even though it wasn't in season. Later, as school was winding down before summer vacation, my son was surprised by this unusual delivery. He hesitated for a moment, and although I understood what he was thinking, I decided not to ask him any further questions. That night, as I was trying to sleep, my son, sensing my uneasiness, climbed into bed. It was the first time we had slept together in a long time. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, a scream woke me. When I opened my eyes, Roger quickly grabbed my hand. Dad will kill us. We have to get out of here now. I yelled in confusion. I smelled something burning and saw a fire outside the window. Coughing from the smoke, I tried to get out of the room, but the door wouldn't open. The image of Darren asking me to buy kerosene wouldn't leave my mind. Trapped on the second floor, I was terribly frustrated, but Roger wouldn't give up. He quickly pointed me to the water dispenser, told me to get wet, and began tying sheets to escape. We climbed out the window to the first floor, where the wind was helping clear the smoke. Tears welled up in my eyes, feeling like I was in a nightmare, but Roger remained strangely calm. I guessed right. I took your phone, so I'm going to check it, he said calmly. I began to panic.
What?
If you have my phone, we have to call the fire department, I insisted. No, I don't want Dad to know we're alive, Roger replied carefully, fiddling with his phone. I put a GPS app on his phone last night. It's right next door. I couldn't believe it. Are you kidding? I mumbled nervously. Relax, Mom. I'm with you. Everything will be fine, Roger reassured me. Let's go somewhere safe. Before leaving, Roger made an anonymous call to the fire department to ensure the neighbors' safety. I praised his work while we bought clothes and took shelter in a nearby hotel. I checked my husband's location again and found that he was in a luxury hotel about a 50-minute drive from our house. Just as my son had said, the thought drove me crazy, and I was overcome with fear. I lay awake all night, trying to figure out how to confirm the truth. The next afternoon, While I was watching TV, the news showed our house burning, and my husband was crying and asking for information about us, but something on his face didn't sit well with me. That's a common expression of fake crying, I muttered to myself, studying his face. Why do you think that is? Roger asked. He's pretending to be sad, but the corners of his mouth are turned up, my son said slyly. That's because he enjoys deceiving people. Watching my husband's face closely, I saw a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. If this was his true nature, my son could be in danger again. I don't want to be alone, my son insisted, refusing to be left behind. Reluctantly, I agreed, and we both followed the GPS and headed toward the luxurious hotel. While we waited, my husband left the hotel, unconcerned and unconcerned, humming to himself. Without hesitation, he went into a nearby house, which we later learned belonged to an elderly woman. A few minutes later, he emerged carrying a black bag, something he had never carried before. He then went to a park and left the bag there before leaving. Their behavior was suspicious, but there was no concrete evidence, so we watched as my son mustered up the courage to approach the house and press the intercom. Old lady, yes, this is the card. Son, did Papa come? She stopped when she saw the picture. Husband is gone. Alone. Phone, secret account. Pay the fee. Me. Cheated? No apology. This will help us uncover the truth. I also explained my situation to Mrs. Ullman, who agreed after seeing the news report on television. Determined to talk to her husband, we carefully prepared for the next day. As expected, my husband arrived at Mrs. Ullman's house at 8 p.m. to collect the money. Then he headed for the same park he'd been to the previous day. You, I said angrily, as my son and I confronted him from the shadows. My husband's knees trembled with fear. You're the one who put us through hell, aren't you? My son angrily accused him. You're the one who set our house on fire with the kerosene you told me to buy to repair my motorcycle. Liar. Shaking. My husband stammered an apology. My son dropped his bank card at his feet, mocking his deception. It's strange how, when you're not a banker, you have so many cards. You're conning people, he challenged, his words piercing him like a knife. Fed up with the situation, I stepped forward and confronted him. We saw what was in your bag. You didn't want us to know, so you tried to ruin us. This isn't true. My husband hesitated, hesitant to confess. Traitor. I pressed him further. Why did you cheat? I asked, my voice trembling with anger. It was only for money. His feeble attempts to avoid the truth only increased my frustration. Please, I have nothing left, he pleaded desperately. But it was too late. The detective hiding in the shadows emerged and arrested him after he confessed everything. My husband's shock was evident when the police handcuffed him and led him away. Watching him leave, my son and I bumped our fists in triumph. We had done it. My husband was handcuffed, the coldness of iron on his wrists, only emptiness in his eyes. The judge's hammer fell in the courtroom, and a long sentence was announced for fraud and arson. The house he burned down now became his prison. A black bag was sent to a partner, the final testimony of an online order and another arrest. I filed for divorce. No tremor in my voice, only a cold demand compensation for emotional wounds. The insurance money came flowers that grew from the ashes of the fire. I chose a new house, sunlit windows, a small garden, and a room for my son where dreams could breathe air, not fear. One evening, as the sun set and the steam of tea lingered between us, he whispered, "Mom, I'll be a detective. I'll find the truth. I'll catch the lies." There was fire in his eyes, the same fire that had burned our house, but now protects it. I took his hand, palm to palm. I'm with you, son. Every step of the way. I'm stronger than ever, unbreakable, unyielding. Fire reduced us to ashes, but from the ashes we sculpted a new sky. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video, don't miss it.